Welcome to the 2012 FIA World Rally Championship End of Season Review. It's been a breathtaking year. Join us for the next 30 minutes as we take a look back over all 13 rounds of this year's championship. The start of 2012 saw a number of changes across the WRC. After 6 years as a factory driver at Ford, Mikko Hirvonen joined Sebastian Loeb at Citroën.
Now when this opportunity came, I thought, that for sure I want to see how it goes. And I think I needed to change as well.
While over at Ford, Jari-Matti Latvala took over the role of team number 1, and after 11 years, the Blue Oval welcomed back former driver Petter Solberg.
It was where I started my whole career, and maybe was one of the reasons why I got a world champion is because of, I had the chance with Malcolm in '99.
Other drivers this year include Danny Sordo with the Pro Drive Run Mini WRC team. Mads Osberg returns for the Adapter World Rally team. Also in M Sport prepared Fiestas are Evgeny Novikov and Oyt Tanak. The Citroën Junior team are back with WRC debutant Thierry Neuville. Nasser Al-Attiyah represents the Qatar World Rally team, while Armindo Araujo and Paulo Nobre started the year for the WRC Team Mini Portugal. Making a welcome return back to the calendar, Rally Monte Carlo kicks off the 2012 championship before we head to the snow and ice of Sweden. Mexico, Portugal, Argentina, Greece and New Zealand take us up to the halfway point. The fast-flowing forest roads of Finland kick off the final 6 rounds, followed by the first tarmac event of the year in Germany. Rally Wales no longer the season finale. Instead, France, Italy and Spain close out this year's championship. Straight into the action and the jewel in the WRC crown. Back after a 3-year absence, Monte Carlo is where it all began. Jari-Matti Latvala was the man who took the early lead. The Finn held a 30-second advantage over Sebastian Loeb, but after showing astonishing pace early on, a patch of ice just before the apex of a fast right-hander caught him out and brought his Rally Monte Carlo to an early end. Meanwhile, Mikko Hirvonen made a steady start to his year on his Citroën debut, bringing the DS3 home for 4th. While in a Pro Drive prepared Mini, Danny Sordo was having a good start to the year, embroiled in a battle for 2nd with Petter Solberg, and despite this early scare on the snow, he managed to hold off the Norwegian for the runner-up spots by the end of the weekend. But up at the front, it was Sebastian Loeb who led from Sordo, first blood to the Citroën team, and astonishingly, win number 6 in Monte Carlo for Seb. Loeb's final winning margin nearly 3 minutes back to Sordo, with Solberg 3rd. Russia's Evgeny Novikov finished an impressive 5th, with WRC veteran Francois Delacour closing out the top 6. With Citroën dominating round 1, it was up to Ford to bounce back on the snow and ice of Sweden for round 2. With an all-Scandinavian driver lineup, the Blue Oval have dominated on Swedish snow for the last 6 years, and we're looking to continue this trend.
I think car is really good at the moment, and we really hope I could push and try to be there fighting for the podium places.
Straight into the action then, and Sebastian Loeb made a subdued start in Sweden. He blew his chances of victory when he buried his DS3 into a snowbank, finishing his weekend a disappointing 6th overall. Latvala had built up a lead of 30 seconds over Mikko Hirvonen going into the final day, and he would need it. The Ford driver clouted a huge rock in the middle of the stage, ripping through his Michelin snow tyre. 25 seconds were lost to Hirvonen in the process. The gap was down to 8.4. Meanwhile, the fight was on for 3rd between Petter Solberg and Mads Osberg. Unbelievably, Solberg hit the same rock as his teammate Latvala. His right front Michelin tyre deflated instantly, and with it, his chances of 3rd place. Up at the front, though, Ford and Latvala hung on to respond valiantly to Loeb's dominant Monte Carlo display, marking Jari-Matti's 2nd career victory on Swedish snow.
A warm welcome!
So there's confirmation that Latvala celebrated his first victory of the year over Hirvonen, from Mads Osberg in 3rd, Solberg down in 4th, followed by Novikov, while Sebastian Loeb was a distant 6th. Round 3 in Mexico, set high up in the mountains, proved to be a test of stamina and complete concentration. Searing heat, rough rocky roads and altitude, this was to be the toughest of the year so far. It was the Citroëns of Loeb and Hirvonen who were fighting for the lead. At the end of the second leg, it was Seb in command, 36 seconds ahead of his teammate. Meanwhile, Evgeny Novikov's Fiesta had filled with dust after the roof vent had been ripped off. Unable to see properly, the inevitable eventually happened, and his rally came to a spectacular end.
You are okay? We have to go outside as quick as possible.
Moments later, Jari-Matti Latvala went off in exactly the same place, and he was forced to retire, leaving his teammate Petter Solberg as top factory Ford finisher in third. Up at the front, it was the Citroëns who once again tamed the mountains of Mexico. Loeb took the win, and Citroën were rewarded their first 1-2 finish of 2012.
I enjoyed this rally. It's never easy to win here for me. It's always some good battles. Finally, we are here with 1 and 2, so that's a very good result for Citroën and for the team, so I'm really happy for that.
So Loeb's final winning margin in Mexico was 42.4 seconds ahead of Mikko Hirvonen. Petter Solberg finished third ahead of Osberg and Tanak. Citroën's Nasser Al-Attiyah closed out the top 6. On to round 4 then, and the stunning Algarve was the setting for the Vodafone Rally de Portugal. The drama began immediately in Thursday's night stages, a rare mistake from Sebastian Loeb, and the world champion was out. Treacherous conditions greeted the drivers on day 2, and Latvala was once again down on his luck. He slid off the road and retired. The Finn was able to continue under the Rally 2 rules, but he had to settle for 13th overall in Portugal. Petter Solberg was the next big name to make a mistake, and what was a dream start to the weekend for Ford became a nightmare. Mikko Hirvonen was dominating at the front and went on to win the rally, but was later excluded for clutch and turbo irregularities. All of this meant that it was Norway's Mads Osberg who took the win in Portugal, his first ever WRC victory. A fantastic drive from the Norwegian in conditions so difficult they caught out the factory team drivers and caused stages to be cancelled. No work Citroëns to be seen on the leaderboard. Mads Osberg was declared the winner in Portugal, with Evgeny Novikov in the runner-up spot. Petter Solberg eventually recovered to take third. So after the first 4 rounds, Sebastian Loeb led the championship, but the pressure was on the Frenchman. Petter Solberg's consistency early on was paying off. The Norwegian was just 4 points behind. Meanwhile, in the manufacturer standings, the non-scorer in Portugal left Citroën just 12 points ahead of longtime rivals Ford. The 2012 title fight had got off to a scintillating start. The championship was still anyone's guess. Join us after the break for all the action. Welcome back to the 2012 WRC end-of-season review. It was the Philips Rally Argentina where the rugged, desolate landscape provided the perfect backdrop for round 5 of the World Rally Championship. 3 accidents in the first 4 rallies was not how Jari-Matti Latvala wanted to start his year. And to add insult to injury, a skiing accident put him out for Rally Argentina. Replacing him was Danny Sordo, released from his mini-team for the event. Into the action then, and the first high-flying casualty of the weekend was Petter Solberg. Despite a 20-second rally lead, the Norwegian continued to attack, and a huge impact with some hidden bedrock broke the steering arm on his Fiesta. Petter was in trouble, and he plummeted down the leaderboard, leaving Danny Sordo flying the Ford flag in third. The battle for the lead, meanwhile, was between the Citroëns of Sebastian Loeb and Mikko Hirvonen. Just 2.4 seconds separated them, and with both drivers pushing each other to the absolute limit, something had to give. The team stepped in and orders were called. Sebastian would lead the Citroën 1-2 home. With the top spots decided, Dani Sordo was on course for a fine third place. But in a cruel twist of fate, just metres from the finish line of the final stage, the alternator on his Fiesta cried enough, leaving Mads Osberg to capitalise and take third position. Up at the front, it was Sebastian Loeb who made it win number 7 in Argentina and his 70th career victory. Loeb eventually finished 15.2 seconds ahead of Hirvonen, with Osberg once again making it into the top 3, and Martin Prokop took his best finish of the year in 4th. And so, on to round 6. Beautiful as it is, Greece has been widely renowned as the roughest rally on the calendar. It's a test of both man and machine. 2012 was no different. Ford were taking the battle back to Citroën. Seconds separated Latvala and Loeb. It was quite simply a game of who would make the first mistake. Latvala's luck ran out first. On stage 14, the Finn nudged a bank, picked up a puncture, and his fight for the win was over. The world champion passed him and picked up a healthy lead in the process. Petter Solberg picked up Ford's mantle and began to punch in fastest stage times to try and reel in Loeb for the win. It was going well, and the Norwegian was closing the gap until a momentary lack of concentration on stage 18, and he was off the road and out of the rally. The Ford seemed to be the faster car in Greece, but with 2 offs, Citroën went on to claim another 1-2 victory, with Sebastian Loeb once again taking the top spot. Latvala recovered some points for third, with that man, Mads Osberg, closing out the top 4. The Brother Rally New Zealand represented round 7 of the championship, and deep in the country's midwinter meant changeable conditions. Tyre choice was to be a key factor. Citroën's Mikko Hirvonen was first on the road and had opted for soft compound tyres. It proved to be the best combination. The Finn took the early lead. Meanwhile, Petter Solberg opted for the hard compound tyre, but on the damp roads, it was the wrong choice.
Petter looks already calm in there, but there's a huge amount of time loss.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know what to do.
Despite the Ford boys setting the pace in shakedown and qualifying, it was once again the factory Citroëns battling for the top spot. Mikko, excelling in the damp, muddy conditions, pulled out a small advantage, but the tactical mastery of Sebastian Loeb saw him preserve his tyres over the course of the afternoon. And one final push on the last stage of the day saw him take the rally lead. For Latvala, who was running in third, this bizarre off on stage 7 resulted in the car getting stuck in a fence, and he lost 4 minutes in the recovery. Oyt Tanak was another man on the ragged edge, but he overstepped the mark on stage 20. The result was this high-speed off and the end of his rally. While Petter Solberg took his 4th podium of the year for third, it was the Loeb-Hirvonen partnership at Citroën which once again proved unbeatable. Sebastian leading home the French manufacturer for their 3rd successive 1-2 of the year. Loeb's final winning margin in New Zealand, 29.6 seconds over Hirvonen. Meanwhile, it was a career best for Thierry Neuville in 4th, with Latvala recovering to 7th. So at the halfway point of the season, it was Loeb who led, 38 points ahead of Hirvonen. Petter Solberg was 3rd, a further 17 behind. Mads Osberg lay 4th, with Jari-Matti Latvala in a disappointing 6th. Citroën were running away with the manufacturer's title, a full 93 points ahead of the Ford team, leaving the Blue Oval with some considerable work to do in the second half of the season. And it was Finland that welcomed part 2 of the 2012 season in. The Grand Prix on gravel never disappoints. It's the one they all want to win, and all eyes were on the local boys. Latvala and Hirvonen, the former teammates, would go head-to-head on home soil. But it wasn't the locals setting the early pace. That honour went to Sebastian Loeb. The Frenchman was fastest out of the blocks and took the early lead. Finland takes no prisoners, and WRC Academy driver Fredrik Arlin was the first to discover that fact with this terrifying roll on stage 3.